Hi, my name is Gina from Her Cosmic Crown. I am a tropical Vedic astrologer, and today I am going to discuss a book recommendation to you all. This one is called It Didn't Start With You by Mark Wolynn. I actually read this book 2 years ago, and I wanted to do a book review on it, but I never got a chance to. Have you ever wondered why certain things are happening to you? Like, why did this happen to me? Like, I know I didn't deserve this. I didn't do anything wrong. Have you experienced that where you suffered through something and you just couldn't connect the dots? Well, this book has an explanation for it, and it talks about how a lot of us are experiencing the karmas, if you will, from our ancestors. And our ancestors, you know, can include our parents and our grandparents and things, but sometimes it's our aunts and uncles, according to this. And so I just thought that was fascinating. It talked about even the language that we might use could be related to a trauma from our ancestor. Like, for example, oh, I was frozen when I took that test, but you know, maybe an ancestor died in the snow or something like that, right? And that was traumatizing. But this was fascinating because I'll give you an example that I remember, and for some reason it really touched my heart, and I started crying about it. It talked about this person. I think it was a guy. I don't know if it was a guy or a girl. It was towards the end of the book, but this person was having a lot of financial issues, and they couldn't figure out what was happening. They were like, I've always treated people fairly, but I'm having, you know, these blockages when it comes to money. I don't know what is happening. And so the author of the book, I think he worked with that person, and they found out that the grandfather owned a lot of land, and he had people from another country work on this land for dirt cheap. And they would ask for raises. They're like, hey, we need to pay, I need money for new clothes for my kids, and you know, things like that. And I think he provided them with you know, like shacks, like little homes, but he wasn't providing them what they needed. He was giving them the bare minimum. That one client was carrying that karma from that grandfather. And so yeah, so they figured that out. And so what he or she did, I think it's a she tried to call the descendants of those people who had worked on that land, but she couldn't get a hold of them. So she ended up donating a lot of money to a group of people who were from that same you know, nationality or group of people. She donated a huge lump of sum to those people, and then that kind of cleared the money issues that she was having in her life. And that's how powerful these things are. That kind of goes back to karma. Like, karma means actions, right? Good actions, bad actions, neutral actions. They're actions. It's what we do, and they leave behind a footprint in our lives, and you know, possibly our descendants' lives as well. And in our astrological charts, in our astrology charts, we have Ketu, which is the south node of the moon. Ketu relates to our ancestors. It also relates to our past lives. And I've heard the family we're born into, that is parallel to the karmas that we have to pay back. Not just bad karma, but good karma. So when we come back into life, when we're incarnated, when we are born into this world, we are born of a certain lineage, of a certain family. So there's karma that we need to burn because we are born into that family, but that's also parallel to the karmas and the actions, the karma that we did in past lives, if you believe in past lives. And so when things seem like they don't make sense, like, why is this happening to me? Well, there could be a karma that we need to burn from our ancestors and or from, you know, past lives. And so I just think it's really fascinating that, you know, we experience certain things. Things come up in our family, in our lineage, and those things come up because those are the things that we need to work on. And until we, and this book talks about this, like, until we actually, you know, fix that problem, it's just going to continue going on and on through our lineage, and then even past, you know, our next lifetime. We're going to keep having to face these same issues over and over. And it talks about being forgiving. It talks about not shaming other people as well, and holding space and gratitude for people in our lives, and, you know, step parents even. And there are no mistakes. You know, everyone is in our life for a reason. We need to accept those reasons. This book is definitely very deep. I highly, highly recommend it. You can get it wherever books are sold, or click on the link below. But yeah, it's a very psychological book. Let me give you an example. It says here, often when a beloved member of the family dies early and is perceived not to have completed his or her life, someone later in the family, in silent collusion, can fail to complete something of great importance. So that's why I said, like, it's important to honor everyone who comes into our life, everyone who has passed away, even if it was prematurely, to acknowledge it, to speak about it, and to hold them in remembrance, and to honor their name. And it says, procrastination can also stem from being connected to a family member's early death. So this guy named Richard, one of the clients, the author's clients, it says, his core language was, I never got recognized. And then it says, a parallel experience lived in Richard's family system. His older brother died stillborn. Nobody in the family ever talked about his brother's death, or his brother. So after he died, no one said anything about it. They acted as if nothing happened. So in loyalty to his brother, who wasn't seen or recognized, Richard also lived without recognition. So while we can live unrecognized or unseen, like a family member who dies early, we can also live restricted or limited out of loyalty to a family member with a mental, physical, or emotional challenge. Loyal to a sibling, aunt, uncle, parent, or grandparent whose life we perceive as restricted in some way. We can unconsciously restrict our lives similarly and limit our own achievements. So this goes really deep, the family systems. This book is amazing. It has questions we can ask and make different connections. I made different connections in my own family. I have all kinds of like annotations. I highly recommend it because there's so much stuff in our families, so many secrets that we don't talk about, that many families don't talk about, I'm seeing. And it's important that we acknowledge people who died prematurely, or someone who cheated on someone in the family, you know, these uncomfortable topics. And we have to face them. I know it's scary and I know it's painful. There's so much pain in every family, but I think when we're ready, I think it's important to face them, because if not, those things are going to repeat themselves in ways that we're not even conscious of, in ways that we don't even know it's related to another. And yeah, so I think it's important to kind of look at our family systems, and we don't always know what happens in our past lives, but you know, doing the work with our ancestry can help. And then sometimes some people are born into families where they're adopted, and so that can get tricky. But we can use astrology, which is a good thing, to have more insights about the ancestors, and also past lives, how our current actions can help our future generations and help us on our paths in the future, so we don't keep having to come back making the same mistakes, being so unaware of what's happening in our lives. And yeah, I think that's what doing the work is all about, and this is some great work to do right here. So I'm gonna have to read this again. This was a life-changing book, and yeah, I just wanted to share with you all. I hope you all are doing well. Please like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.